This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, good afternoon. This is the Thursday, January 18th, 2024 meeting of the Senior Center Building Committee. Welcome everyone. We have one member coming participating remotely, so any votes will have to be voted by voice vote to record. Ed, anything else I'm supposed to say with remote?
No.
Okay, so thank you, Libby, for joining us from sunny Southern California. It was 10 degrees this morning, so.
People here are complaining about how cold it is because it's in the 50s. Yeah, I'm not listening.
Get over it, right? Yes.
We're enjoying it.
So it is 12:24, so my apologies for the late start. We'll call the meeting to order. Open time for the public. So I guess, Ryan, we could either put you here or move you down to the perk test. Would you like to come early in the agenda and just...
Yeah, I'm fine with either if you want to get rid of me.
No, you're welcome to stay the entire meeting.
I have to go back to work.
He has to go back to work. So it's this for you.
Since you're not officially on the agenda, we're happy to talk to you in open time for the public if that works for everybody in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to kick off? I think from your response to our email, you were kind of surprised by the discussion we had at our first meeting.
So I didn't see there was like Charlie's report or whatever. I didn't see that. And I know brass tacks down by the road, the soil's pretty tight and it's tough. So we've got to look at, options up behind, which basically that whole corridor, that street, that's where everyone's systems are, is up back. So my question is, there's no problem, like if we got to look at it or do a perk, do you have a building layout? Do you have because we can go dig holes and do perks, but I know where it's going to perk, and I know where there's obviously no issues, and it's going to do that 75% of the property, but I don't want to go perk it in a spot where you're trying to put the building or something that, can...
Yeah, so I gave everybody a copy of the letter that we sent to Ryan, so, because we were looking at kind of the higher end, I think, because...
back where the existing pipes are coming up.
Yeah, I think we would want the building closer
to the road.
To the road.
Yeah.
And maybe parking in front and around, but, we don't, because that was a feasibility study, so we have approximate stuff, but until we actually get down to the nitty-gritty and the building committee, we don't know specifically where we would want the building, but closer to the road, the better. So we know that's not a good perkable area. Mm-hmm. So the result of having something perked further in the back, I think makes a lot of sense.
And we are anticipating that we're going to have to pump it. So don't be afraid of that. Afraid of that piece.
Yeah, everybody in that section is that's in the same boat. So you need, I had the old perks that were there from when
okay. Because I don't think they're on file in town hall for some reason.
I sent those.
I'm sorry, the ones from way up on the southern end of the property, not the ones you just did.
Yeah, those.
I had looked through. I thought you sent them to me.
Because I couldn't find them. I had to get them from Mark Reed.
Because I couldn't find the email
I sent
either.
them. So
okay. You mean you sent them to the feasibility committee, or is it in town hall? Is it at probably the board?
It was sent to me, and I forwarded. I thought I had forwarded to the feasibility when we were all in there.
Okay,
I can't find it in my email either.
So that helps. We don't have. Nobody has. I have apparently. The upper perks from 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. So
the thought was those were from longer ago than that.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were good. We went up when we did these and we dug a test pit, and you can see the change in the soil. So there's no issue up in there. So you want to see those, and what do you need? Do you need a new perk test in that area? Is what you're asking for? Is that?
I'm gonna, not being the expert.
What has been suggested to us is to probably start in that area and dig a set of holes and you're gonna know if it probably is going to perk or not, but to get, if it looks like it is, to do 4 holes and test 2 of them in that area, and then go from there and say, okay, well, did here, it probably should do the same, whether it's, 100 yards to the left of that or whatever, and do another set of holes, and perk there also.
Are you talking coming closer to the road from the current ones a little bit? If those, so did those seem to, are they on file with the Board of Health, Ryan, do you know? The way up ones?
The original one, we'll call them the original
Yeah.
ones. I would assume they were.
Yeah, they
but
didn't seem to have any copies.
I know, I can forward them along. I can tell you, when we were there that day doing that with Barry, while he was, doing his thing, I went up and dug, I said, where the other pipes are, I went 25 feet away. I'm like, I'm curious, because down by the street, it's tight. And I went up in there and I was like, holy smokes, like, it totally changes.
Okay.
But we didn't spend a lot of time going from there down to where I was in the middle and like kind of find where obviously the soil changes, the structure, the modeling changes. So we can do that. I can find those ones, get them to you. Let's do that, because I thought
That's a good start.
Yeah, I
And
thought
maybe
you would have them. I
copy-
guess that's why I was probably confused. Like,
Yeah.
I thought you had them, so
Yeah.
I'll find them, send those back, because I know I have those. And then that's why I wanted to kind of come in. If you had a location, like I said, I don't want to perk it where the middle of the building's going to go, because then
Right.
you try to work.
Yeah,
things
it'll
different.
definitely be probably where it's wetter and where
Right.
the soil
So
sticks.
you're-
Sorry.
Go ahead.
If you have the perks and Mark did them,
Mhm.
they should be valid perks,
Right.
or maybe just need the additional deep holes if they were too old.
Right.
So could
Yeah.
we just not go off of those rather than?
I don't think we can. I think Charlie said they were too old.
Well, I don't know that he even knows what year it was. Do you know what
Oh,
year
I-
they were perked?
A lot of
No.
times with the older, they just need to do the additional holes to bring it up to today's
Oh, okay.
standards. But if we have a successful
Sorry.
area, to kind of be jumping all around, because we know it's wet down below.
I think-
I think you're doing 2 sites towards the back of the property.
Let me find those.
Okay.
Let's see what they are. If we have to do 2 more deep holes and then you want to do another, let's try to knock it all out in one shot. It's not an issue. And that's all, like I said, I was just looking for kind of some locations so then I could try and, I've done it before, we go and perk something and then someone wants to put the house.
Yeah, right there.
Right, and,
Understood.
the old expression, measure twice, cut once, so
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to avoid. But I mean, it kind of, I have a vision, and this is the parcel. You're looking to kind of do the building, parking here, maybe parking here, parking on the back. It's very crude, but, and the septic's up in here.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna have parking in the front.
There may be some parking in the front, or we just,
Right.
you know,
okay.
leave it open
Are we
till.
talking 8 holes altogether though?
Yeah.
Right, so there's
2
4
sets.
old holes and then 4 new holes, is that what it is? Or is that the idea?
Well, I don't know if you could do the old holes or not.
Oh,
but,
okay.
I mean, you could probably do next to them.
I see.
Do you have the official perk test then from the original 4 holes?
Yeah.
Okay, because maybe if we can get that to the Board of Health as well. I guess our biggest concern is that we want to make sure everybody loves that location. I mean, that hasn't changed for,
Right.
I think most of the people. And I think that we just want to make sure it will support, we can get a septic that will support a very active, large, commercial-type kitchen. Otherwise, we don't want to be back where we are now, where we can't basically use the kitchen.
No, right, absolutely, yeah.
So
No,
we
it kinda
just,
makes
before we
sense.
can step any further and even get an appraisal done, we need to make sure that the property can support, the
Yep.
outline of the feasibility study.
The other piece of the puzzle, and you're more familiar with the property by far than I am, is just please keep in the back of your mind that we probably don't want to test an area that might fall under that 60-foot right of way that
Yeah,
carve out
yeah.
for you too.
No,
And you
I mean, and that's gonna be far if you're facing the property, it's gonna be to the far left is what I.
Your drive.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
off, let's take the property line as one edge of the drive area, that's where I kind of see,
Yeah.
you know.
On the
Taylor-
Marmon Keystone side, that side,
Correct.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'll line it with shrubs and stuff.
Yeah. I'll probably never do anything. Probably what'll happen. Okay.
Other than this email, the Gilmer,
That's the only one.
that's the only one I have, that's the only one yeah.
I know, we talked about it.
I know,
I know I had them and I had lost them, so I had asked Mark, I'm like, hey, and he sent them back to me, and I know I sent them off, but
Yeah.
I know I saved them this time on the
Good,
sticker,
'cause
so.
Okay.
They might be on my, because our Taylor one was switched over, it might have, probably went to that one.
It might have went to that, yeah. So let me find those, and then we can kind of figure out what we're gonna have to do moving forward, if it's 4 or 8 or whatever
Right.
we gotta do up in that. And we're gonna stay up, kind of up in that corridor. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's possibility down there, but, you know, if you go another 100 feet, when I say change, it's like night and day difference. I even was kind of scratching my head, it's just, soils are strange like that, they can go like that, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just want to make sure we have the area, if it costs a little bit more to pump it up, you know, but it supports what, you know, the desire is from the community, then
Okay.
that's, and again, when we had the community meeting, I think the audience persuaded the feasibility committee that that was the best look. They liked that location better than anything else that we looked at.
Well,
So,
I have to agree on that part.
so I mean, that hasn't changed. We just want to, you know, it kind of scared us a little bit, I think, when we understood the perk test, because we didn't meet since April, since we got your test. Our committee ended and the new one just started, so this was the first we've really had a chance to look at it otherwise. Of course, the ground might be a little harder right now than.
Next week's gonna be 47.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Libby, please.
Ryan, when you were in the, I'm Libby, by the way. When you were in the field with Barry and Charlie doing the original, or doing these,
Yeah.
this perk test, do you know why they didn't go up and perk that area in the back of the property?
I think we didn't ask them to.
It was,
Okay,
we had, if I want to say off memory, we had those perks, so we know it was good and it functioned.
Okay.
And it was, hey, we're thinking about, we don't know the location of the building, would you go down by the street? So, you know, I said, okay. So I went there with Barry and we went, I want to say 50 or 75 feet off the street, then I went another 50 or
Okay.
75, and kind of just trying to poke around to see what would work, and then that way, if it worked good, then the building would go back. That's kind of
Right.
why.
yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
I mean, we talked about the mound in front of the library and how that's an elevated, whatever, septic system. So, but I mean, if we can get good perks in the, you know, up
Yeah, I
and
mean,
back, then,
The pumping, pumping is a super common thing, and it's not a deal killer, but,
says the landowner.
well, no, I mean,
Jeez.
yes, gravity is free, but, I mean, we put pumps and do it all, I mean, it's more and more common just because, you know, the way of the shapes of the land
Yeah.
and the grades, but if there is a system back there and it is a little bit raised, like the way the grades work out there, it's gonna blend in too, where, you know, if it is in the front and it is raised, then you have definitely some grading issues.
Right.
But, you know, it'll function. I'll just find those, and we need to obviously do more perks and move forward, like time is of the essence, I'm assuming, right, to kind of.
Well, if we want to try to hit the town meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do it before the ground really freezes, if it's ever going to this year.
No, I mean, there's probably, with the snow cover, there's really probably no frost. I mean, this weekend it might put a couple inches in, but next week I looked and it's supposed to have some showers and chance of snow flurries, and then like 47 of the high, like 4 days or something, so. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Libby, if you raise your hand, I can't really see you well, so
I know.
just you're fine just saying, can I ask a question? Just ask a question. It's fine. So, yeah, I mean, we appreciate it. I think our goal is to not make a long driveway so that highway has to come in and even do more work, so we're just trying to, we want to keep it visible and closer to the road. As long as, depending on what the property is there, but that's not your issue, we just want to get the perks,
Straightened out.
Straightened out, yeah. We were like,
Okay.
wow.
Well, now it all comes full circle, because that's what I was scratching my head, I'm like, I sent those before, but.
Yeah, okay.
I'll go back and find those, I'll resend them to you now, before I forget.
Okay.
And then we can figure out what we have to do, if any, for moving forward for the other stuff, based off of what
I'll
we
probably
have.
go into my email and go, oh yeah, there they are. Because I didn't get them directly from you, I got them through Darcy then.
Yeah,
If
probably.
they came through.
Because I remember seeing them, I was talking about it. I can't remember numbers or anything, but I remember talking that you were sending it to me, so I expected it to be in my email when
Yeah,
but
and I don't
couldn't find
remember the
it.
committee ever reviewing it together.
I thought I had forwarded it, because I would have forwarded it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's,
Would have forwarded it as soon as I got it, but I don't, again, I can't find
It's
it.
the problem sometimes of trying to be organized, it's just never really. You
Yeah,
have a
I-
server and you have files and you put things, when you do it, you remember where you put it. A year later, you go back, you
Yep.
cannot remember where you put it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it may pop up.
A year
somewhere.
later, it's like a week later.
okay.
So then if we get those, then we can just forward them to the Board of Health, is that it? Or-
Yeah, or unless Ryan wants to send them,
Send them
whatever, but,
directly, whatever.
they said they didn't have it on
Yeah, we
file,
didn't
so,
have it either, so.
I'll send it and,
That'll-
I'll send it to you and then you can go from there with it.
it'll confirm what year it was done and stuff like that too, so.
If I remember, were they done when you bought it, right? So that wasn't that long
I
ago?
don't remember, because I don't remember when I bought it. They all blend. I have stacks of perk tests of things
Yeah.
and it's like.
Yeah, understood.
It was not that long ago that it was on the market.
Yeah.
So I think those could be valid if they
Yeah.
were done then. so.
But if we want to do.
They're not
it-
10 years, I would say they're probably 5.
I mean, the one we did on College Highway, the one bought the property through the Housing Authority, those were done in 2009 and they were still valid, so, so I don't know when the law
It's-
changed that
it's-
said they had to be done every 3 years or something, and then it changed that it was valid.
Yeah,
It's
it's been quite a few years, a long time that's been changed.
So we'll confirm that and then determine whether it's 4 or 8, 8 at the most. And then again, 4, are you thinking, Ed, coming north or going east to do 4 more?
I'm directionally challenged. I'm
Okay,
thinking
closer to the
Yeah,
road or?
Going left,
Which road?
Left.
Street or?
Clark, yeah.
going left,
Okay, going left towards Marmon Keystone,
Stone,
sort
yeah.
of, okay.
and not necessarily forward, because I don't know if forward
Give us anything.
Yeah.
would give
right.
us anything. I think they're gonna know in the field a lot.
Yeah.
better, But I'm thinking probably on a parallel line.
Okay.
Well, I have a question. Can you have the parking lot over the leach field? I'm assuming
You
not.
can, yeah, you can. I mean, it changes some of the design criteria for sure, but it's common practice, yeah. You do it
Okay.
all the time.
But I mean, if the leach is between the septic and the building then, is that how that would go? The leach field would be between the building, which is closer to the road, and the system?
There's gonna be certain setbacks for it, but, I mean, we've done them both ways where they've been, I mean, ideally, if you had sand gravel all the way,
Yeah,
with the
right.
leach field in the front between the road, have that as your front lawn and,
Mhm.
then the building and such, but this is kind of a little bit reversed, but with some of those tighter soils, yeah, the leaching is gonna stay up in that
Okay.
upper area.
So-
But they do design systems, so you can put parking lot, I mean, you have to design it prior to, you can't
Right.
put the leach field in and then 10 years down the road decide, oh, we need to increase the parking and trigger that.
And make the parking lot large enough the first time, and maybe the building as well.
That'd be
So,
nice.
That would be a good idea. So, well, I appreciate your time today, and thank you for offering to come in and,
Yeah, no,
thanks.
it's,
the email gets.
yeah, no, trust me, I got confused, but now we're on the same page. And
Okay. I mean, this is our priority, maybe not your priority, but, you know, so this is the only one we're thinking
I'm
about.
gonna blame Darcy that way.
Yeah, I will take the
Because
blame.
the first thing I'm gonna do is go into my set and type it in and see if they show up. And if it does, then I'll forward it. No, I'm just
Absolutely,
kidding.
it probably will, so if you can find it, it would save a lot of time.
And I'll go search Darcy, and when I find it in my
I'm-
inbox,
right,
then,
I'm pretty sure that if I didn't send them, Darcy would have tracked me down
Yeah.
to get them, but it's fine. I get it.
And in
Yeah.
Darcy's defense, she's told me numerous times that, I think it's, I'll miss them up, but I think it's her charter email she always has issues with, so.
It actually, I've had issues with my Taylor email too, where things get kicked into spam and then it gets deleted. And I've even had, like, our IT company sends me something and it gets kicked to spam. I'm like, it's, yeah, I'm not.
I mean, even my message yesterday went into your
That's because
spam.
my personal is overloaded.
Okay.
I have to go in and delete
A
stuff.
lot of my email, the
I wasn't-
town email goes into spam, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, all my voicemails go in my spam box, but now last week they started not going in there, so it's like, go figure how it'll probably go. I didn't, for weeks, I was like, I'm not getting any voicemails, that's strange.
This is great.
Yeah. Then I went into
This
my
is really slow.
I went into my junk mail and there was like 45 voicemails. Wow,
It's like, I'll go on vacation, because I'm not having no voicemails, right?
It seems the last, like, year or two, when we upgraded all of our, and I think,
We
you know,
upgraded here too.
Well-
upgraded here, we upgraded at my office, and a couple other companies that I do business with have upgraded, and that's what everybody says now, since that, whatever upgrade that was, and they're different companies
Yeah,
that did the upgrades, but they're still,
but all that's happening because of all the cybersecurity and all the hacking and everything now, whether it's a private company or it's Charter or it's Comcast or whatever, yeah, they are constantly up cranking the security on all those, and each time they do, it's
I think more things go into
bouncing some
spam.
domain- Yeah, it's getting
You lose
trickier and
stuff.
trickier and bouncing some.
Yeah. Great.
Thanks.
Well,
Thank you for
thanks,
putting me
Brian.
first.
Yeah, I'll get it sent along, we'll figure it out.
Nice to meet you.
But whatever we gotta kind of do after that, you know, in the next couple of weeks, it's not a problem to get it done. I
Okay.
don't foresee weather-wise or anything.
Great.
Great.
If you,
Yeah, that's
if you
good.
could just let Ed know when you do pick a day, because he's got not that much on his plate, he might come out and check it out.
Yeah, I might come out and play.
Give him a shovel.
With his time, with his stopwatch or something, who knows,
Barry,
whatever
there we
he's
go.
doing.
say he's not available.
Huh?
Just FYI, Barry's not gonna be available.
Oh, he's incapacitated?
No, he said he's got too much, he wouldn't be able to do it. Just so you know that.
He's heard that
Unless you
before.
I'll
want to give
stop
him,
and see him
harass
on my
him.
way home. I'll talk to him, it'll be good. All right, thank you.
See ya.
Thank you, Ryan. Great. All right, thanks, everybody. I'm glad he volunteered to come in, so.
Yeah, I think that was good.
Does he work with septic systems?
He is a builder,
Oh.
so he owns the property and he's a builder, so.
Because it could tell, obviously,
Yeah.
a knowledge that your average.
He repaired former the college highway. That
Ah,
was
okay.
his company doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, now I know that's where the
Gila
name
Harbor
from.
Enterprises, you see it.
Yeah, okay,
So-
gotcha.
Now that you know it, you'll see it everywhere.
Right.
All right, so I just wanted to make sure, Libby reminded me that we didn't really look at the charge at the last meeting, and maybe it was not a bad idea. She always keeps us on the straight and narrow, that Libby, that engineering mind, so thank
Yeah.
you. Just to kind of review it and make sure we all understand what our mission is. Hopefully, everybody has a copy of it. The photocopy machine was not playing nice with me today, but if you don't, I think I sent it to everybody initially. If somebody doesn't have it, let me know. And Libby, you have it, or I know
You attach it to the email.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I can't remember what I attached and what I did,
You're good.
what I meant to
You're
attach
good.
and what I did attach. So, so anyway, 7 voting members, including the COA board chair, the COA director, and a member of the select board. So that takes 3 seats away quickly. The 4 additional voting members, we ask for backgrounds in engineering, architect, building, construction, are encouraged to apply, but not mandatory. grant writing or fundraising process would also be helpful. So, thank you all again for joining in. The terms, everyone received their term. It was either a 1 or 3 year term, 1, 2, or 3 year term. We've already done. Excuse me?
Did we receive a term? I don't know what mine is. Maybe I missed it.
Okay, it should have been on the paperwork
It
from.
would be on the paperwork you signed when you got sworn in.
Guess I should look.
We have to read those before we sign them?
Until done.
I don't remember it. Okay.
Yeah. I think
That's all right.
yours was 5 years, Libby. We made an exception for you.
What? How many years?
So, and again, even though we said chair and vice chair, I had requested at the last meeting that we have co-chairs. Dennis and I have to figure out whose role is what, but we were both met with Ed last week to talk about this particular perk situation and kind of our next steps. So that was helpful. So anyway, all minutes and records are recorded and posted on the town's website. Now, they're not on they're on what's called mytowngovernment.org. We don't have a web page. I mean, I could.
Actually, you do.
The building committee does?
There's a blank page for you.
Okay, okay. Just
Who
wanna-
posts them?
I usually post them, but I'm happy to let you do that. So, we can
Not
talk
sure how
about
to.
it. Yeah, I mean, I can, I did them in the last committee, but I'm happy to
Okay.
turn that over to the clerk. That would be done with Lucy. So I can look at, so if I go to the website, there's a Senior Center Building Committee blank webpage.
We made a page for you anticipating a
Okay,
committee.
okay,
But
thank you.
I don't recall if there's anything on it right now.
Probably not.
So you'd have to determine what you want to
Yeah,
have on there.
yep, we
I'll
can
be
do
glad to
that.
help post anything.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Maybe we'll put the fees, I know the feasibility committee, the final project was posted, the final plan was posted
It's on COA.
on the COA site, so
Page,
maybe
actually,
that's not a bad place to post it again on that
Or
page,
does
so.
it make any sense to take over the senior center feasibility page?
I don't think we had a
Separate?
we didn't have a feasibility page, because we were done and gone at that point, right?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I'm
I
not,
don't know. I don't know that we have that page. I'm not sure, but, because I think, we had two.
so we do not have a budget, but we do have the monies from the estate, which is great, will help us get through the purchase of the property, the appraisal process, and so on and so forth. So if we need funding, we can go to finance, capital, select board, and town meeting. So for, obviously for the purchase of the property, we would have to the town would have to vote on that at the town meeting. So even though we have the funds, that would be a step that hopefully we can do in May. So the committee shall review and use the plan from the 2023 Senior Center Feasibility Study Report as a primary reference. So I think I sent that out the other day too. Make sure that you all have that, so you can refer to it. And again, working from the dedicated funds from the estate of David Parsons, the committee shall investigate and solicit additional sources of funding which are available, not limited to grants and capital campaigns to pay for the site acquisition, design fees, soft cost, and so on. I did send out also the capital request, or the kind of the forecast for capital needs, so we can talk about that in a little bit as well. Utilizing the recommendations as referenced in the study, the committee shall work with the town administrator to purchase the land that was recommended in the study, and then obviously obtain town meeting approval. The committee shall work with the town administrator to hire an owner's project manager, the OPM, using a qualification-based selection process. The OPM will be hired to provide guidance to the committee during the design and construction, so we're not there yet, of the new senior center in accordance with Mass General Law. And the committee, through our town administrator, shall either request an RFP or RFQ for architectural services for the new senior center, or hire the same architect that prepared the feasibility study. That's something we can discuss a little bit down the road. And then utilizing the recommendations outlined in the feasibility study, the committee shall work with the selected architect to develop an architectural design document suitable for construction of a new senior center. Okay, any questions or comments? Is that,
What did we forget?
did we forget anything? Yes,
I got one
TA.
comment, but it's not about that. Elizabeth Baldwin's term is to June 30th, 2026. So you don't have to look it up.
Okay, 3 years.
He aims
Thank
to
you.
please. You got the 3-year straw.
Thank you.
So, any questions on the charge, or does it seem to
I'm just
make
wondering,
sense?
as we read it, is that the actual way things will be done? I'm just wondering, like, if you're thinking about steps going forward.
Right.
So.
They're not
you
in
get
any
the-
particular order
No,
of
they're not,
steps.
that's what,
We
I
weren't
think it would be
that-
helpful
we weren't
if we
that
could,
clever.
if we could figure that out a little bit at some point, so.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the overall charge. I mean,
No, it
Work
doesn't.
plan
Right,
derives from the
right.
charge. but-
Right, so
Right.
that's kind of what we've tried to outline a little bit of today as well for
Okay,
today's
yeah.
meeting, but yeah, that's not the final,
Right,
that's the step,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
I guess, being my first building committee, I guess a work plan is the term, so.
Just, you know, on the page, we have the members of the committee, and that's all we have so far. That exists.
Okay.
So maybe Megan put that up, I don't know who put that
I
up.
was gonna say, thank you for putting that up.
And then, so everything, you know, general responsibilities and duties are blank, anything else is blank. So we can talk about what you want to have up there, the charge could go up there.
Yeah, the
or
charge
something
can go
else.
up.
We can put
Okay.
another, you know, we can make a link to the feasibility study that's already on the COA page.
Okay.
And whatever you want to do, so we can talk about that.
Okay, great, so we'll add the charge. Thank you for planning ahead. Appreciate that. Okay, so Dennis and I, Dennis, feel free to pipe in
Yeah,
anytime.
yep.
That we took some time last Thursday, met with Ed, kind of tried to clear our heads a little bit about
Yeah.
what the kind of the steps of the process might be. I think the perks test obviously threw us off a curveball that we thought was kind of a done deal, so I'm glad it came up at the first meeting.
Yes, true.
And I appreciate that Charlie, with his vast knowledge and also being on a public safety building committee, was able to come and kind of give us some understanding of that. So, so really our next big step would be to complete those perk tests. Do you want to have any additional conversation about that process at this point?
to me, it was just, this needs to be done before we can go to the next step.
Yeah.
And so sort of like, let's just get this done and then move on.
Yeah, I mean, if, like I said, I tried to say to Ryan, if it can't support the needs of the center, then we're gonna have to move on.
Right,
So,
then you go to Plan B.
and we're hoping that it does, and, you know, I mean, the feedback was really at the community meeting for those people that were there. Were you at the community meeting at Norris School about the feasibility study?
I'm not sure. I've been
Okay.
to a lot of meetings.
I understand. It's when the architects presented
Yes, I
it,
was.
I thought you were in, Dennis?
I think I was,
Okay.
yeah, I was, yes,
You were. Okay,
yes.
so I know Darcy was because she was on the committee.
Yep.
I know Chris was because she doesn't miss a meeting. And I know Ed was because he was on the committee as well. Christina wasn't at that, and so.
So
I mean,
the question I also have on the perk is then, so as you were talking about, yeah, we sort of want to have a commercial kitchen. Does the fact that you want a commercial kitchen have influence on what you accept as a perk?
Well, I think it has to be able to support
Well, I know,
the needs of that. And if
well,
it
when
can't-
you know, if you, yeah, there's like a general acceptance, and I'm just wondering if that pumps it up to another level, and if we, just, you don't want to be surprised, as you said many
Right,
times,
right.
and nobody does, so I don't know the answer to that, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
A rough of it. So what the perk rate is
Yeah.
determines the size of the field of the system.
Yeah,
And then what you're adding to it, so a commercial kitchen would add.
Add to the
so
size of it.
Say this is what's needed for a home kitchen.
Yep.
This is what, so it'll depend on the size, if the size of the lot
Yeah,
well, obviously the higher number, you would need
Yeah,
much
that
bigger of
makes
a
sense to me.
system that just
Okay.
wouldn't be able to fit on the lot with the building, you know, so that's kind of a rough idea.
yeah, no, that makes sense.
I'll
Yeah.
give you a rough idea on a residential property. They're designed by the number of bedrooms.
Right.
Yep,
Now picture this. Take that design for a 3 or 4 bedroom house. If you want to add a garbage disposal to that, it doubles the size of the
doubles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't, yeah, that's okay, because it seems like we'd have the room. Yep,
Right.
Okay.
So it'll depend.
I mean, that answers it for
The
me, but I
lower
don't know.
the numbers, the better. Obviously, when you
Yes.
get up into the higher numbers,
Right,
just
right,
that
right.
doesn't make sense.
Yep.
So who can answer the question, is this perk going to support a building and a system? And what's the size of that system? I guess that's,
Probably the health department.
Or your engineer.
Charles, huh?
I would think.
well, we would have,
Well,
we
you're
own,
into, what's the
but,
perk?
Yeah,
pardon me?
What's the perk?
result.
Yeah,
What's
have
the
that
perk
number
results?
first.
Right,
Once we
right.
have
The
that.
piece.
No,
Then you-
understand,
Then
yeah.
you work backwards, yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that getting the perk is the first thing, and then,
If I remember, did the feasibility study, did we kind of talk rough sizes to support a building with, was it a company that?
the engineering firm?
Yeah, I'd have to look back, but I believe they kind of gave rough numbers. And I don't remember if they used that off of a perk
Yeah,
number of, you know, the perk rate, or if they just did a general.
I'd have to go, yeah, we'd
But I
have to,
believe that was in with the feasibility,
some of the citizens.
some of that.
Do you remember,
Do you
Libby?
remember that, Libby?
No, I don't remember that.
So-
But that's not to say it wasn't in their report.
I don't remember if it was in the report, or it was just a meeting with Abacus that they hired that.
I mean, in each group that they worked with, we got a report, right? A printed report.
I think it was probably attached to the.
Yeah, one of to the
I think
final
it's one
study.
of them. Yeah.
So, we can go back and take a look at that, but, yeah, before
They
we,
put a size on the drawings, I thought. Approximate size of the the leach field. Maybe they just called out the location because they just didn't know.
yeah, I don't remember things too
Remember.
specifically, but I'm kind of relieved that we're purchasing the entire lot, because I'm not sure we would
Yeah.
have room to do the,
Right.
on this property, if we just bought the first 4 acres or something.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have the room to, in space probably, we'd have a bigger challenge,
right.
in my unprofessional opinion. My non-professional opinion, not unprofessional, but
Right.
non-professional.
Yeah, good clarification.
Yes, thank you. Are you looking?
Yeah, I found like a conversation with it, but I don't have the actual report, so that's what I was reading
Okay.
So it was Langdon
Yeah, yep.
that did the,
So we can go back and,
yeah,
take a look and see if it's in the study anywhere before our next meeting. Or maybe not the next meeting, but the next, not counting the 23rd, so. All right, so let me just. So once, so we, before even we do the appraisal, we need to be confident that the septic we can put a septic in that will support the needs of the building. So that's, so that makes the perk test premier step 1. right?
Yep.
Well, it sounds like he's gonna do it next week.
Well, he'll get it done as the weather, within the next week or 2, I think.
Yeah, so then-
Depending on, he needs to get someone like Barry Searles. What does Barry's title?
Yeah.
Is a licensed soil evaluator.
He's the soil evaluator, so his availability too, it's not just digging the holes, but hiring somebody to do the soil evaluation, making sure someone from the Board of Health is available to go out and inspect. So that all kind of has to come together. So if Barry isn't as available as is
Ryan
not
thinks he
available,
is.
or as he told Darcy, it was pretty tight, so we'll see what happens. And if he can go to
In the actual report from Abacus, I guess it is, on your COA which is under the departments on the, when you go into the town website, you don't go to the COA board, but go to departments and the COA is there. And so the feasibility, the video is there from the meeting, but the feasibility study is there, and there's a whole
Right.
thing from Langen.
Right,
So
there was
the
a
whole
large
report.
attachment, right. Whether it specifically says the requirement, I don't know, but
I don't
yeah, and
know.
it's hard.
Many pages of it, and I can't say.
Yeah, no, we'll check that out,
But there's
you know.
lots of data that they provided for you
Yes.
already.
Whether that was that specific
It
data,
was
yeah.
civil
Civil engineer.
due diligence findings
Yep.
done in April of '23. So it looks like they probably looked at each of the preferred sites anyway. They did talk here about 0 College Highway, so
Mhm.
I think that one and 210 College Highway and 79 Clark and 89 Clark.
Yep, those were the four, I
Yep.
think, yeah, that we had
So
finalized
you should
on.
have detail in there to look at. To see if it's-
All right, then, once the perk test hopefully is approved, then we have a best practice appraisal, right? And that's the process that you referred to get the land appraisal done.
What does that entail, Ed? What is that process?
It's hiring a appraisal company to do that, and give a written report back on it.
Okay.
Now, do we have to do like an RFQ to do that, or can we just go direct because it's a smaller amount?
And I'm trying to remember, it seems like I remember you saying something about that since we have the monies through the estate to do that, do we need to have an appraisal or not?
Do you have to have one? No. May it be a good practice?
Practice?
Probably.
Yes,
Because
okay.
I think it'll probably come up at a town
Mhm.
meeting.
Okay.
When we're asking permission to acquire the land, even though there's not an appropriation for that, but it's coming out of a gift fund.
Right.
that
Someone's going to ask, was an appraisal done on the
Right,
property?
yeah.
Right, so we need to have an
So it's
answer
good
to
to have
that
a
question.
response.
My understanding was though, if it was town, if it was being bought with town money, you can't pay more than the appraisal amount. Is that correct?
Not directly, no.
Okay. But, well, I was gonna say, but since this isn't using town money, we could pay whatever we wanted for it,
Right.
essentially.
But we don't want to overpay.
Well, no, of course
Right.
not, but I'm just saying hypothetically, like, that isn't,
Right, that's why we
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to have an appraisal, but it would be.
okay, yeah.
Good
If it's good
practice.
practice, we need to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to
Absolutely.
everybody can see.
Oh, yeah, no, of course, I
You want
think
to
it's,
convince the community that you've done your due diligence. too.
Absolutely.
no,
You don't wanna-
I would want to know that, yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, so I mean, again, we were given a quote from him for like 4 acres and then a quote for the full lot, and it wasn't a dramatic, it wasn't a per acreage increase.
Yeah.
So, and again, with the situation with the perk test, and in hindsight, I'm sure we kind of asked them to perk further down, closer to the road. I think we said 150 and 250 was our request.
I think so.
Yeah, and I think that, I'm not sure if he went to 250 from what he just said, but it just seems like it's not going to be that much better at 250 than what they found where they
This
did
is
perk.
89 Clark, right?
Yes.
89, yeah.
So in this report from Langen, just a
Mhm.
second, 89 Clark Street, field testing percolation results of 12 minutes per inch provided by the Board of Health.
That's pretty fast.
So leaching area size, 1,850 GPD. So basically 3,300 square feet by the looks. And a reserve area, 3,304 square feet. So total area minimum required, 6,600 square feet.
So so my
So that's in your report as. some
right, my
data.
question, if the Board of Health, because the perk test hadn't been done at that point in time at our request, so,
This might be the old perk test that they were working
but
from.
I thought they told us at the last,
I think
Yeah,
maybe
they
that's
didn't
something.
have it.
So anyway, I mean, it may just have been buried in some file somewhere, but obviously Langen got a hold of something,
Okay.
so. Whatever.
Libby, it sounds like you want to say something?
No, I just was agreeing that
Oh, okay.
they probably had the perk test results. Langdon,
Yeah.
I remember them trying to get a lot of information. They probably did.
Yes.
The Board of Health probably did provide the old results. Yeah.
And I thought that we had asked 2 weeks ago if they had it, and they didn't
Yeah,
have
and
it.
they
They
said
said
no.
they didn't have
Yeah.
it, so maybe I'll check with Jerry based on the report from Langen and see what that was based on, so. They didn't give a location though, right, Chris?
It's
Did
at
it?
89 Clark. I didn't,
It did, yeah, okay.
I didn't,
Yeah,
I didn't look at where they were.
when the Zoom is up, it limits my exploration capabilities, so thank you for wearing that hat. All right, so the other thing that's probably useful, I think at this point in time, would be some visits to senior centers in the area. So some of us, Darcy, you went to some, right? Darcy, myself, Rini, went to some of the senior centers at the time. And I think some of the board members, even prior to that, went to some. So did you go to Hadley?
I did not go to Hadley, but that's what I was gonna say, because that seemed to be one that was most close, so that probably should be high on the list.
Yeah. So they have a new director there that, do you know the new director?
I don't know the new one, no.
So, but maybe we can work to schedule, and I know the chair of the Friends was very instrumental in I think, the
Yeah.
head of the building committee.
She's very involved.
She was
What
also.
town is this?
Hadley?
Sorry.
Hadley?
Hadley, okay.
She was also on the select board at the time. So, Jane, I forget her last name, but.
Nevins?
Yeah,
Smith?
something like that, yeah. So she was very instrumental, so I would like to try to set up a meeting with her and we can kind of repick her brain a little bit. If she's willing to meet with us again, now that we're a little bit further in the process. Some of the other ones that just came to mind, I mean, Westfield isn't that old, also a new director, so I don't know how involved. South Hadley, I think also a new director, I'm not 100% sure
Yeah,
if she left, but I thought she did.
she did, yeah.
Yeah, and Ludlow, I think, is also, I thought I remembered somebody saying something about just visited the new senior center at Ludlow. I think Joan had
East-
mentioned that.
Yeah, oh, East
And-
Long
and
Meadow
East Long
is
Meadow,
new too.
Right. So, just to help understand their process, so maybe we could start with a Hadley visit and try to coordinate that. Do you know who the new director is there?
Not off the top of
Yeah,
my
I
head,
mean, it's
obviously.
The website, and then,
Yeah.
but I think I have Jane's information, or we could email Jane. That little card holder that we have at the senior center,
Yeah.
we purchased from them and donated to here, so.
Oh.
They were all in boxes before that.
Ah.
So, but Westfield, Hadley, South Hadley, Holyoke, maybe East Long Meadow. I know they're always viewed a little bit skeptically because their tax rate is very high.
East Long Meadow.
East Long Meadow.
It's like 20.
I have actually toured that place.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah, we probably won't have an indoor track.
No, I don't think they had that, but
No, I
it
think
was
they
very.
do have an
Oh,
indoor.
really?
I think it's a raised track.
Oh,
goes around
that you're
something.
right.
Yeah.
At first, I'm like, they don't have. No, you're right.
Yeah.
They do have that rate.
At
Yeah.
second level or something, so.
No, it was beautiful for sure.
To
So
understand.
is it possible to, I mean, you've kind of gone through the whole process already about what you think you want for space and rooms and
Right.
so forth, right?
That part is,
So, I
I
mean,
think-
you're really talking about, okay, now that you got that, how are the steps? I mean, did you go
Mm-hmm.
through an appraisal? Did you, how did you go to the engineer? How did you find the OPM? That's really what you want to know.
Right.
So, I mean.
And how did you
might be able to-
fundraise,
Right, I
basically.
mean, you may be able to do some Zoom meetings.
We might be able to invite them by Zoom.
Yeah.
But I mean, not everybody saw the Hadley facility, for example, so I think, and not everybody was on the feasibility committee, so I think it might be beneficial for some people to go and take a look at Hadley and.
Yeah, I haven't seen Hadley's.
It's a nice location. They were kind of restricted because they were
Yes.
on town property, so the advantage of being on town property, but it narrowed,
Yeah.
the field a little bit.
There's
and
a
they-
lot of back and forth about that.
Yeah.
So is there a protocol for,
Just show up.
I mean, just showing up doesn't seem like the right thing
No.
to do.
I
I'm
mean,
just
no,
kidding.
no, we can either, I can reach out to Jane, she actually I think has an office in the
She's
building.
very
She has-
involved.
Yeah, and then, and I think it's a great idea, because I know Wilbraham just did some fundraising as well, so that would be, the idea of inviting them via Zoom is something that would be beneficial, unless somebody would like to come here, but to also to see a couple of the facilities, I think would be good, so.
But that should be arranged through maybe one or two people.
Yeah, maybe.
Not just have people, you know,
Yeah, I think
going
we
on their
should
own or
kind of go
whatever.
in with a scheduled appointment.
Yeah, yeah.
I would also include on that list Northampton. It's comparatively, it's getting older, but it is still
Yeah, it is
newer.
relatively new.
And it does give you another example of how their different rooms are set up and such. I don't know, I would think it would be a good place to still look at.
So that, again, because of feasibility, I think we have a pretty strong understanding of what we want and the size of the rooms and everything. We just need to understand their building process as much as possible. So if those people are still engaged, or their fundraising process.
I see.
You know, when we look at $10 million and, you know, we're gonna spend a little under $1 million for a piece of property, then, you know, we have a lot of money to try to raise, you know. So how do we handle that? How did they handle that? Did they have a capital campaign? You know, who was involved in that?
Right.
That'll be interesting. I mean, just from having spent all the time in Springfield, you know, the ed funds are Chapter 70 funds that return, right?
Right.
Springfield got their Chapter 70 funds and nothing else, because we couldn't raise any more taxes. So East Long Meadow got their Chapter 70 funds and almost doubled it from what they put into. So, you know, it became, I'm just saying this because it became, when I would go out to look at buildings and stuff, it was just ridiculous. So what they were able to do and how much they were able to spend per student versus what Springfield could spend per student, and how that limits, you know, it's just, I just wondered if that has, if you go to you know, like East Long Meadow or something, and I'm wondering, it'll be interesting to find out how they got their money. I'm just wondering if it's, you know, the town just was able to support that, or, you know, it'd be interesting to find a town that's very similar to Southampton, obviously, that was successful.
Which is a Hadley kind of.
Well, Hadley's got tremendous tax revenue.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
They have great tax revenue.
Yeah,
Right.
We don't.
We
They have a
don't.
tax base, yeah. I mean, they have a commercial tax revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just,
Same population.
Yep.
yeah, but totally different. Yeah. That's why I always go back to having been around here for 45 years or so, the only thing I can think of is that we did in Southampton is the library. And, you know, the initial meetings we had about the library, I was like, wow, that's never gonna pass. People are saying they don't even need a library and stuff. I mean, probably Chris can remember some of these meetings, but how did that get passed?
When was that
when it-
built?
97?
97.
96, 97?
Okay.
But
Did they fundraise for that?
I don't know, I wasn't on any of the committees, so
I
I was in and out of
I just
town.
wondered how they did it. Because initially, it didn't seem like, wow, this is not gonna happen. Why do we need to get a building better than the one we have right here? That
Right.
was all the, you know, that stuff. So,
So somehow.
and that wasn't just a
happened.
couple people, I felt like it was the majority of people. So I was really surprised when we were able to build it.
I think that, yeah, you know, picking out one or two, a couple senior centers that, for everybody to see, so everybody, when we talk about it on paper, people that haven't
vision.
Yes.
been in
Yeah.
them, see what they look like.
Right.
So you kind of have a picture in your mind, but then also maybe find some communities that were successful with their fundraising to see what they did. You know, maybe it'll work for us, maybe it won't, but at least we can talk
Right.
to them and
Yeah, it makes sense.
see what areas worked and what didn't.
I wonder too, and it may not lend itself, given what you want to find out, but for example, for the, trying to wear both hats on both committees here, on the Public Safety Building Committee, the fire and police chief sent a questionnaire out to chiefs in various towns that have got relatively new facilities, saying, you know, what are the basic, you know, rooms that you have in your facility, and how big, or how many bunks do you have for people to spend the night, or you know, how big is your community meeting room, or, you know, so they did the little, not really a survey, but a questionnaire
Yeah.
essentially. that they sent out to probably 5 or so towns, I think, to get information. It took a bit, but they got information back that,
Right.
you know, it allows us to at least kind of compare without having to go visit everything.
Right.
To kind of give a sense, and it may not lend itself for
Yeah.
fundraising, whether people want to share their thoughts
But it is
about
interesting
fundraising.
thinking about Williamsburg and, you know, how
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
you know, they got that old school building, but they had to take it down.
Correct, yeah.
And then they built the thing, that had to be
Yeah.
a really expensive proposition, and Williamsburg's not, they
No.
don't have a
No.
real great tax base
For sure,
either.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, small town, absolutely. Yeah, so anyway, so there may be ways, you know, just to,
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the things, again, for the building size and the room size and those things we did with the feasibility
Right.
committee, but as far as the fundraising arm,
Yeah.
maybe we could start to work on some kind of a survey that, for some of the
Yeah.
newer ones,
I don't
or
know.
questionnaire.
I mean, it may or may not lend itself to that, I don't know, if people are gonna want to share something, rather than having a face-to-face meeting, it may be, you know, certainly a Zoom at a minimum would be probably better,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah, I mean,
The
then-
face-to-face would be
Yeah.
a couple that are close to what we're
Yeah.
looking at.
Right.
So people can see
Yeah, I
the
like that
layout
too.
and what,
Yeah,
Yep.
you know.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, like for you and Jerry, if you wanted to try to go to Hadley sometime, we could arrange something. 'cause
Yeah, I would like to.
Yeah, I think that vision of what our diagram kind of looks like,
Mhm.
different architect, different style, but we utilized kind of a lot of feedback in those two Hadley and South Hadley, to help us, you know, come to terms with what. I mean, we were started at 15,000 square feet, and we said, you need to whittle that down to closer to 12. And we'd love to do 15,000 square feet, but we felt that was asking for more than, you know, cost even that much more, so we wanted to kind of pull it together. So maybe I'll try to work out something, and then, because Jane's always happy to chat about things, I mean, and they did do some fundraising. I don't know that they did the kind of fundraising that, that we are hoping to achieve, even if we raise another $2 to $3 million on top of the 2 that we got. It certainly shows the town that we, you know, we want to contribute. We don't expect it to just 100% fall on them. So, and again, we've had some discussions with fundraising organizations, and if you're interested in being part of a capital campaign committee, certainly let me know, because it would probably be a separate committee. Did you, I know, Ed, you mentioned something about looking into capital campaigns a little bit,
I haven't had a chance
Okay.
yet, but I will.
so we'll get a better sense of, you know, how do we set up the fundraising? You know, can it be a town committee? Who asks for money? Who's able to ask for money?
Right.
Who are the larger organizations in the country that have a focus on things like
Mhm.
older adults, you know, investing in older adults, because it's got to be more than just kind of a local fundraising to raise the kind of money we're hoping to
Did
raise.
we just, I think we talked about it, about whether any money raised through a capital campaign comes in through the town coffers, or, yeah, it does. So it would be like in a gift or something like that?
Because we talked a little bit about the Friends organization being our fundraising arm, and then when you talk to a fundraising organization and they charge $5,000 a month, or $3,000 to $5,000 a month for their services,
Yeah.
then that, you know, they don't have the money to pay those kind of funds, and we have it through the grant, so it's just trying to determine in the next couple of months, really, how are we gonna be able to manage that? What are the steps we have to take for that?
How did like Worthington get their grant? Like, was that, like, how far in advance do they post what grants are available?
Yeah, well, it depends. It's probably every quarter you have a sense of what's coming out. But Worthington got, what was it, a community,
I don't think it was a grant, I think it was
it was a legislative earmark, was it?
earmark, and basically what it evolved to was senior center was going to cost $10 million. That was on the town. That grant covered, okay, now we want to get into silver certification on the energy side of things or whatever.
Green certificate,
And
that's
that
right.
earmark
Okay.
covered
That's right.
the cost difference between base and getting to that energy efficient.
Getting the green certification kind of thing, that was,
Yeah.
you're right, absolutely.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
that
so
makes
it was
sense.
something through Reggie Neal's office.
Yep.
Yes.
But it wasn't for the actual building itself, it was
Yeah.
for the stuff in the building, that, you're absolutely right on that, yeah. So I don't know where they got the money. I don't know.
But I know that Senator Vilas' office comes in the last Wednesday of the
Yeah.
month, so I'm gonna try to come in and see if I can spend a little time with whoever his rep is at that
Yeah.
point in time, and kind of try to give him a
I
heads
Yeah, I'd
up.
like
mention
to-
it every time I
like to-
submit, I'm sure he's sick of it, but yeah.
Maybe we can
I'd like to
corner
meet
him
with
and,
too, if you-
Yes.
if you
okay.
remember that, because I'd like to know where the website, when I wrote ed grants, there were, you know, I could just go on and get federal ed grants, mass ed grants, and it would be updated weekly.
Yeah.
With these new grants are coming
Yeah.
out, you know, so
Yeah.
I always knew what was coming up, and if it applied, I could apply,
Yeah.
but I just don't know where to
Clear.
look for.
We could look at mass.gov grants.
Just mass.gov.
And just put in a couple of keywords and it'll eventually get you somewhere. Yeah, and stay away from federal ones if we can, they're a nightmare. But state ones are.
State are better, yeah,
Doable.
yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of size are they typically?
Well, I mean, mass trails, we've been going for the 300, 350 range. So, I mean, you know, it's taking several rounds of mass trails on the bikeway, for example. This will be like third or fourth round that we're gonna be applying for in a couple of weeks again.
So that's like $300,000 grants to
Yeah,
get.
For that one, for example. that's
And that
state
takes
grant.
a 2-year period to get to that
It's
point?
every year, so.
Yeah.
It's an annual grant, so, and you spend it within a year.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's always the dilemma is,
Yeah,
Right, when you have to spend, yeah, when you
yeah.
have to
asking
spend it
for-
right away.
Well, and asking for the right amount that you need and not too much so that you're all of a sudden you're at the end of the fiscal
Right,
year.
Right.
You haven't spent
Yeah.
it. That was it.
That always has to be considered.
So
yeah.
now
That's
all
the
that
issue with all of
Yep.
them. Yep.
gets trickier as we go along, but,
So if there was a grant coming up for like, for to purchase land, could we
Mhm.
use that? Or rather than use the funds, or they
Might be-
too tight on a time?
might be,
frame?
depending on the criteria for that grant. I mean, there's a couple of land grants, I can check out those and see what's coming up, if there's anything soon. Some of them have just very strict criteria as to what they support, but I checked in, I think I mentioned somewhere, checked into the community development block grant one that's coming up. That just doesn't seem, it's a federal one too, it
doesn't fit.
we are way too early for whatever they might even consider, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
it's-
But a land grant would make sense. Thanks, Darcy, for bringing
that's a
that up.
good
I mean,
idea.
that's,
Excuse me, I have another meeting too.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you,
I
Ed.
got a meeting with Calvin, just so you know.
Good.
keep our fingers crossed on that one. Good luck, Ed. Okay. Yeah, I mean, and as far as the visit, I don't know, Christina, because I know you drive by Hadley on occasion,
On occasion, yes.
like twice a day.
Yes.
I don't know if you have a time on your way in or on your way home to
Yeah,
stop in there and
okay.
have, if you haven't seen it, or
I haven't.
Where is it? Is it
it's
over by the
behind
new
the
schools?
library.
Yeah, I'm trying.
By where Dunkin' Donuts.
I was just
is,
gonna
that's
say,
not-
Oh, it's there.
I didn't
Oh.
think
It's right
library, I
kind
thought
of-
Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got it now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, it's
over
tucked
there.
behind the
Yeah.
library.
Right, you don't necessarily see it from that
Yep.
intersection with,
Right.
not- yeah.
You wouldn't even know it was
Right,
there.
exactly.
Yep.
But then we can try to see if we could maybe pick a time to go over, because
Yeah.
I think it would be beneficial for anybody that hasn't really visited, because we did some visits.
I know Northampton well,
Feasible.
but that's the only one I
Yeah.
go into around here.
But it's really trying to dig into how did their building committee work and what were the steps they went through. And I know, I think Hadley and South Hadley had the same architects and had the same OPMs.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it went out to bid, but
Right.
and the
Ended
start
up
was
with the
very
same people.
good. So, I think you would both be impressed with what you see there at those two locations. But South Hadley is a little bit bigger. They had bond money that I think they had set aside over the years, the town administrator at the time. So I'm not really, I know I had a long conversation with Jane, and I know we talked about her building committee, I'm not sure, and we talked a little bit about fundraising. They have this giving tree and naming rights and,
Right.
but that takes, I don't know if they used an outside organization, if they had enough money set aside to do that. That's kind of my unknown at the moment is how do they, how can we raise some funds in the meantime, in parallel to doing, going through this process, so.
I have a question.
Sure.
On raising the funds, are we supposed to have all of the funds in hand? Or what if we come up short, we only raise 6 million and we need 10 million? Where does the,
Well, that's when we go to the town and say, we have raised 6, we need 4 or 5 more. And that's when we go for a bond or some
so
kind
the
of debt
town does
exclusion.
issue bonds?
Yeah,
You do debt exclusions.
in
borrow
debt
money,
exclusions, yeah, to borrow money. So, I mean, I think I don't think it's realistic that we could raise $10 million. But I think that a good faith effort goes a long way in our community with saying, okay, they've done this work.
Yeah.
If we can find anybody else has an estate that they'd like to leave to us.
I did have a gentleman come in yesterday, the center, that said he knew 3, not millionaires, billionaires that live in Southampton. And I
Really?
said, yeah, and I
Would
said.
they like to be on our committee?
Right, I said, oh, maybe they could give, and he's like, oh, no, they wouldn't give to that.
Okay, yeah, so.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, I know, that's what I thought.
Okay, so, but just to take a look at, I sent out kind of the capital campaign too, just so we didn't get to it the last time. And again, these are kind of rough estimates at this point in time. The top is for the senior center. The current senior center, the bottom level is sort of for the new senior center. And it talks about, the description of the construction, somewhere between $4 and $12 million approximately, because everything goes up every year, and by the time we get to this, the 10 million is now 12 million, but just to kind of guess. Purchase of the property through the COA gift fund, architect design and building plans. Ed worked with us on that for $1.3 million. So, I mean, if you look at the land and that,
It's the
the
gift.
donation is gone.
Yeah.
So, or we use a different process for that, so. And then the OPM would be part of that $1.3 million. And then we just kind of estimated cost for 2028. We'll have to do a little more research for furniture and equipment and appliances. So these were very rough numbers at the time, because it was kind of early in the process. But I don't know if there's anything that's not there that you would say, probably don't forget to include this, or...
I think the only thing we did talk with Ed, Janet and I talked with Ed about, what happens if you go before the town and the town says no? And, so we're talking about, it would make sense to purchase the property, whether or not we have that okay yet. Because the worst thing that can happen is we have to sell the property, and that's not gonna, am I making any sense to people?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're, I mean, it's possible that the town may say no, right? I mean,
We could get to the Maytown meeting, we could say that we've done the appraisal, we could say we have the monies.
we may
the
even
gift fund,
purchase the property.
And they could, someone could come up and argue and convince people not to vote in favor of purchasing the property. So, I mean, we have to have a solid kind of defense by May as to the
what we're
reason to
doing.
purchase.
But we felt that if we did purchase the property, that wouldn't be the worst thing,
Because we could sell it.
because we could sell it,
And land does
well,
go up, right?
and land goes up.
Pretty
Like
much.
somebody pointed out last time, the kind of property doesn't sell like hotcakes around here.
Well, commercial property, I think they were talking about down on College Highway
Yeah.
versus the industrial property over here by Clark. So I think, Ryan has never had that property on the market per se. So I don't know how easy or hard it would be to sell, because it's not commercial, it's industrial.
Yeah, it's
So-
just like anything else, the first person that walks up could buy it,
Right,
or it could sit there 5 years.
yep.
That's right.
Yep. I mean, there's no given, but chances are we're not gonna lose
But we just
money
wanted
on it.
to lay that out, that
Yeah.
was part of the discussion we had with it.
Yeah,
So is that, he's saying to purchase the land before you go before the town?
Oh, no, we can't do that.
You can't do
So
that.
what is he, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to
I'm
get
just
it
saying, if we
clear.
do go
So
to
if we-
purchase the property.
We go
and
to the purchase the property, the town says, yes, you can purchase this property with the money for the senior center. And by selling it down the road, wouldn't that be then going against the will?
No,
No,
if we said, okay, we have all the eggs in a row, okay, now we're gonna go and ask the town for $4 million to finish the project, and it doesn't get finished. So then, the worst case scenario
Okay.
This might
is
be
that
3,
we
4
can
years
put,
from now. It's
put the
possible.
money back into the gift fund for round 2, so to speak. But,
Or keep the land till future when that could be?
Possibly.
Or, yeah, or
Because
that.
land
Right.
is,
And that's not
Right,
costing
you
the
know.
town any money.
I can see a lot of people saying, oh, you're gonna purchase it and then sell it down the road.
Oh, no, that-
You
no, that
wouldn't
know,
be-
I just think like that's.
no, I think the
kind
sale of the property would go back to the gift fund.
Right, but then that fund is just sitting there and then it's even harder to get land. I don't know,
It's an option. I think he was just saying it's an option, so it's,
Confusing.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I know, that's confusing.
I think it's confusing, but there is that idea that some people are gonna say, why don't you accept zero College Highway? If they're saying they can give you, why?
We're gonna have that meeting on Tuesday
Why
night,
aren't you
so-
gonna, why aren't you doing that? You know what I'm saying?
I get it if somebody said like, sell it because we're going there, but to just sell it to sell it. And I just think you're taking 10 steps back. I mean, if you had another property that was more feasible, absolutely, but.
I think that's the last option
I do,
Yeah.
yeah.
available. That's not
I
something
just,
we would say.
it's, I'm just would be prepared at the meeting because I think that just.
But you're kind of saying that is the worst case scenario.
Right.
That
It
you could
is
just
the
have to
worst.
sell it.
If we buy it and we don't raise enough money,
would- but
there's
the
always, it's always an option down
Right.
the road. Not
Right.
one that
I get it,
anybody
yeah.
probably at this table would want to take.
Right.
Well, the question to my mind would become, though, at what point do you start digging and pouring concrete? And relative to the money that you have on hand?
That's, I don't
You have
have,
to have money
you have to have
The
money.
money,
in hand before you go out to bid.
absolutely.
But do you have to have all 10 million?
I would think so.
I would
I would
think
want to
so
do that
also.
because you don't want a hole in the ground. And I think that, I mean,
No.
talking to the fundraising organizations, they say the worst thing, once the fencing is up, like it's fenced off,
Yeah,
people stop giving because they
Right.
think it's a done deal. So you want to, the very last thing we do is put the
Right.
shovel in the dirt.
So this could be 2 or 3 years of fundraising.
Oh, yeah,
oh,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
yep,
Oh,
yep, at least, yep. So hopefully, I mean, again, it's going to take time to get that money. I mean, that's just
The way it
a
is.
given, yeah. So fundraising is going to be a key at this point in time, so.
So what are we trying to get done for the town meeting? You've got that on here as a bullet point. So by.
Well, that's we're talking about next steps, so at that point, once we purchase the property, we will have to, or once we get the perk test completed, one of the next steps would be create an article for the annual town meeting, right?
To get the approval of the town to buy.
To buy the
land,
property.
Whichever.
And at which point we should have the appraisal done, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, you would want that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right,
that
for
would
the
have to be
meeting.
done.
So,
Yeah.
perk test, appraisal,
Right.
Yep, and
Town
then
meeting.
create an
Because you've
article.
got to go to the town with a price in mind that
Yep.
may or may not be equal to what you already know.
Right.
And then figure out,
And doesn't Ryan have to, if we negotiate, don't we have to have an agreement with Ryan
Yes,
before we go to the town?
right,
yes.
yeah,
Because the appraisal might be half of what he's said is worth. I have no idea.
right.
right?
And I think from what little I know, Libby, I think, if we do our appraisal on our side and, Ryan may end up doing an appraisal on his side too, and, we hopefully meet in the middle somewhere. It's a negotiated amount perhaps, but if we did the appraisal and it came in much lower than what he's already asking, then I would think he would want to go do an appraisal too.
Okay.
And then we figure out where can we find common ground?
Okay.
So, yeah.
But that's more through the town administrator, not through the building committee, correct? That negotiated process?
I don't know. What's their charge say? Go back to the charge.
That darn charge. I mean, we don't have the
I mean,
authority to
being
negotiate, right? But being involved,
Be
yes. but
involved,
the-
for sure.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I think it says, the other committee would work with the town administrator to purchase the land parcel that was recommended in the
Right.
study. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, in terms of, yeah, I mean, town administrator
those-
is part of the process. I don't know that.
Are those open discussions, that negotiation, is that executive session discussion, do you know, Chris?
I don't know that I know that answer.
Okay, that would be a town administrator question,
Mhm.
right? So, I just
I'm not sure.
have not been involved in that kind of negotiation before, I don't know if that's, but he has.
My guess would be executive, but I don't know that.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So anyway, these are kind of like I was trying to lay out next steps. So again, complete the perk test, proceed with the appraisal, visit different senior centers, just talk about the capital campaign. And then, once A and B are completed, or dash dash are completed, we would create the article for the town meeting to hopefully get approval from the town to proceed. And then the next step, then we would work on an RFQ, and then we would hire an independent owner's project manager. So this is kind of a
Right.
large overview, sort of, there's a lot of little steps in between there, so.
I think your question, Ed, that for the appraiser, we could work on best practices and don't have to go out for a formal request for proposals, right?
Yeah, there's
Whatever.
only a handful that do commercial
Mhm.
stuff in the area, so it's not like there's hundreds to choose
Mhm.
from.
Yeah, it wouldn't be cost so much that it would fall into a bidding process, so.
Procurement
No.
thing, yeah. Hopefully it would be
So-
within a small.
To follow what Jerry was saying about the money, so, as I'm looking here, create the article for, right, then the RFQ, are we assuming that we would maybe have some more money by then, or is all of this stuff on this page what we can do if we get town approval with the money we have?
Well, I think, once we get the town approval to purchase the land.
Right.
You mean? I think we go back to, the campaign and the fundraising.
Right.
Because that's gonna, I mean, I'm not.
Before the RFQ or not?
I guess that's more, I'd have to get,
I'm just wondering.
clarification
Yeah,
from Ed.
okay.
Would we do an RFQ if we're 3 years away from putting the shovel in the ground?
Yeah, I don't know, that's
Probably.
exactly what I was thinking.
Yes?
You say yes?
Yeah, when I think, I need to check on this, but we might have the order of the OPM and the architectural form switched. I think an OPM helps with preparing and selecting.
Okay.
The RF
Okay,
I think so.
okay.
I think that might be one of the services they can provide. I'm not exactly sure of that, but I think the design process could take a while, and the bidding process, and I mean,
So run in parallel to the
campaign.
campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we're a little bit early to go forward with design, but not that much early.
Okay.
We're not. So I can check, or, do you know who the OPMs, were you gonna find out who the OPMs were for Hadley?
Yeah, I have it in my notes somewhere at home, so I'll take a
There's
look at
one
that.
for Williams.
Yeah, there's a whole procedure for hiring OPMs
Yeah.
on the webpage, and I think that might be one of the services.
Mhm.
And we don't have to go out for RFQ either,
Right, we can
for the architectural
defer
firm,
to
but that's
Abacus.
something we would need to decide.
Right, yep. Yep, so if we like sort of the design and
Yeah,
that Abacus has presented to us, I mean, with all of our input, if we would want to proceed with them, we don't have to go out for an RFQ.
right. Or we could
Okay.
invite them specifically to submit, just so we could make sure that the same players are involved. I don't know, that's a discussion down the road, I think.
Okay. I mean, you know, we're all kind of in our learning process,
Right.
so.
Yeah, that's right.
I think fortunately Libby's been a little bit more involved as an engineer, so,
Yeah, it's a little different in the architectural side
yeah,
than what I'm used to.
okay.
But I do know the process a little bit.
But you're right, you probably had the OPM before you went to the,
I think so.
so that's a good
You
question
know, when
to
I was on
ask.
the building committee for the town hall, we didn't have an OPM.
I don't think so. I don't think it was required by law
I
then.
don't think it was either, right? That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the late, before 2010, right? I mean, it was late,
Yes.
early 2000s there, the first decade. So it wasn't that long ago, but
Yeah, we were building it around 2011, I think.
yeah. So, I think Ed said since that time, not because of that time, but since that time, MGL has kind of been put into law that you have to have an OPM for a project this size. So, which makes sense to
That
me.
sounds right, yeah.
Rather than having us figure it all out
Yeah.
on our own. So I think an expert would be
Right, I
good.
appreciate that.
So yeah, I mean, if in order of sequence, yeah, the OPM would come first based on what you're saying, Libby.
I
So,
believe it will.
okay. All right.
I want to say, don't quote me on that, but was just recorded saying it. So.
Right.
You're quoted.
Yep.
So
I
quoted.
am.
All right. Any other, I mean, any other discussion on the steps at this point in time? The only other thing that, can we move on to any item that can't wait till the next meeting? Which would be approval of the minutes, since I didn't put it on this agenda.
Ah,
Oh, the minutes we
So,
got, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So my apologies for that. We'll add that on for the next one. I don't know how that happened.
they're very nice minutes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So we would need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Darcy made a motion
Of
to
our
approve
January 4th.
for the January
2024.
4th meeting. Do
I'll
we have a
second.
second? Dennis has a second. Any discussion on the minutes?
It looked good.
No, they look great,
Yeah.
very thorough, yeah.
So I know I made one change, which I
Oh.
think I said it, which I was wrong. It said next meeting, and Libby originally sent it to me at 2:30, and I said, oh no, we said 12:15, I mean 12:30. So you did actually say 12:30,
Yep.
and I,
Right. So I don't think we can change the minutes.
yeah,
No,
no,
we're not gonna.
we're not gonna do
There's no
that,
need.
so, but my apologies again for that. So, roll call vote for approval, let me go down the list. Christina?
Yep.
And I, yep. Chris?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Darcy?
Aye.
Libby?
Can I vote on my own minutes?
Yes.
Okay, aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Okay. Janet? Aye. Okay, thank you. So minutes are approved. I'm sorry, but we'll make sure that's earlier on in the agenda the next time. Anything else that you want to talk about today? I know we're still in a very early stage. We've got a haul ahead of us. Certainly, the 23rd is next Tuesday. It's important. I did post a meeting, just saying it's a joint meeting with Select Board for 6 o'clock next week. Is there, other than,
Where is that?
it's here in the Select Board room, first floor?
Is that 6?
It's at 6. Other than Libby, who's in California, won't be here, are people planning on attending? They
I'm
can?
not sure.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll try.
Yes.
Yeah, you're there as well. Okay, so we will, our next meeting is actually the 23rd, and the meeting after that. So,
So that's an official meeting of ours?
yes, I
On the
had to,
23rd?
because we have,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. If you don't have a quorum show up, then it doesn't have, you don't have to call it to order. But
Right.
assuming you have a quorum, you'll have to call it to order. Yeah.
yeah, so it'll be recorded, Libby, if you want to try to pull any minutes out of that, or I can jot down a few minutes. I mean, or we can defer to the minutes for the Select Board, or, which is also, you know, because our part could be very small, because we weren't intending to use that property, but I think we just need there, it's important to be there for the discussion. So that would be the 23rd. And then I guess realistically, so if we can talk to a few centers and I can line somebody up to kind of come in and talk to us, whether it's Wilbraham or somebody from Hadley. I'll touch base with Dennis and Jerry and try to arrange for a visit to the senior center in Hadley, because I think it just would be helpful. And Chris, I don't know if you're interested in going or not. Play that by ear. And Christina, I know at your convenience.
Okay.
Can endear yourself to Jane and the new
Right.
director there, that would be great.
Yep.
I don't even think Haley Wood, who was the previous director,
Yeah.
is now with MCOA.
Yes.
I don't know that she was there during the building process, or if she came in right afterwards.
Excuse me. I think she came after.
Okay.
I
So,
think, I could be
so
wrong,
too,
but
from what, but we would want to touch base with her and make sure it's okay with her if we kind of
Right.
wander around a little bit. But I think for people that haven't really visited another senior center that's relatively new and comparable to kind of where we got a lot of our ideas from the seniors, the feasibility study, it'd probably be a good.
sorry to interrupt. Actually, if I remember now, she started when they were just finishing up the building.
Okay.
So, so she missed the whole process.
Right.
But she did start when they opened that.
But Jane was very much involved, and she's, so I'll touch base with her and see if we can get a time where we don't interfere with pickleball or lunch.
Jane?
Jane is the chair of the Friends Organization in Hadley that was on the building committee and is very knowledgeable about the process they went through. So probably the most knowledgeable person there, so. All right, anything else? So do you want to schedule a next meeting after the 23rd? I mean,
We hadn't scheduled the 23rd at 2 for a meeting, did we? No, okay.
I'm looking at my schedule.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I had something down for that. Might be
Okay.
another committee.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh.
So what looks good? I mean, I'm not sure how much, until we get the perk test back, so that's gonna be a couple weeks.
At least.
And I'd like to get on a regular schedule, but if we don't, I don't wanna meet just for the sake of meeting,
Right.
if we don't have anything new to
I'll set it on
discuss.
for the 8th, and if you have to cancel it, you
Yeah,
cancel it.
that's what I was thinking too. So, let me just look at my,
I think, depending on, does the appraiser have to wait for the perk test results?
No, I mean, it would be helpful, but they don't necessarily have
I
to.
will say
wait,
the
so-
8th I can't be at. 'Cause we have our
there's a memory cafe scheduled for the 8th, so.
I was just thinking if you wanted to stay on Thursdays.
Yeah, no, I'd like to stay on Thursdays at 12:30. Everyone, sorry.
Oh, actually, I probably could come because the memory cafe will end at noon.
So you've done enough to get here at 12:30?
Probably. If I'm a little late, you'll know why.
All right, so let's stick it with the 8th then.
12:30?
Yes, 12:30, just tell me a few more times.
12:30, Janet.
Janet, can I ask a question about the meeting minutes? Does the town typically number their meetings? Like when I've done meeting minutes, I call these meeting number 1.
Yeah,
And then, but that would mean that that's how I keep track of all of them? Is
yeah,
that
I mean,
necessary?
it's not, I've not seen that before. I thought that was
Okay.
a nice idea. It would save me from
So
having to
then
go
the
back.
22nd would be meeting number 2?
23rd, right?
Would be meeting number 3?
23rd?
23rd.
I'm sorry, 23rd, yeah.
Yep, and this would be meeting number 3. So it helps
Okay,
me to
I just-
track, when somebody says, how many meetings have you had?
Yeah, okay.
So,
I'll just continue that way then.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so I'll post a meeting for the 8th if we can get a few things under our belt and hopefully get perk test back.
Mhm.
At least get the
Yeah,
appraiser
that works for me.
online.
I'm still gonna be
Yeah.
remote. Sorry, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's okay. We'll send you a link again,
Yep.
okay? Thank you
Yep,
for
this worked well.
Yeah.
being willing to do that.
Yeah.
And I guess the
And it's
appraiser, if
3
for
hours
some,
earlier my time.
I
so-
know. I didn't want to
Just
send
got
you the
up.
link too early this morning.
And I don't have my phone on.
Yeah, well, that's
I
good.
don't have the ringer on, so. But I
So-
appreciate that.
If we, we can maybe set up a date for an appraisal, but if the perk test for some reason goes south,
Right,
we
why
can
would
just
we
always
do that?
cancel.
No, my question was that I would hope that we could kind of work in parallel to get an appraiser online, because I'm assuming they're maybe booked up
Booked out,
too.
right, that's what I'm saying,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
we get somebody
Okay.
identified and.
All right,
It's a little quiet
Yeah.
right now, just.
I would think it would be.
There's not a
Yeah.
lot going on, so, I
Yep.
mean, I mean, we have some time, and especially
Yeah.
if we want to get the perk done in the next couple weeks, I think we have time to
Yeah, but shortly thereafter,
Sure,
hopefully we
yeah.
could do the,
get them going.
yeah. I mean, it would be nice, honestly, it would be nice to get the appraisal done before Ed leaves. You know,
yeah,
We got a
I
brand new
couldn't
person coming in. who-
disagree with you.
So-
I could not disagree with that. So yeah, we can speak to him and see if he can get somebody lined up for sometime after the 8th. I'm thinking it's gonna take them a couple weeks to do the perk, but, yeah, I would like to get that done before Ed leaves as well.
Yep.
Okay, so the next meeting is the February 8th. And I'll get in touch with you guys about
Yeah.
maybe going to
Yeah.
visit.
Yep.
And I'll get a hold of Jane. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Darcy, motion to adjourn. Do we second?
I second.
All in favor, going through the
Who
list
seconded?
again.
I couldn't-
Christina,
All
sorry.
right.
Where's my list of, where's your minutes again? This is my list of people. Okay, all in favor of adjourn. Christina,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Darcy,
Aye.
Libby,
Hi.
Jerry,
Uh-huh.
Janet, I. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.